little lagging tonight. This is an unusual time that I do live streams, but I decided to change it up. I have a very tight schedule. So I said, you know what? I'm going to come here and I'm going to talk to my goddesses. I'm going to talk to my queens. My name is Miss Penny. I run a platform on Patreon called Cosmic Mother Ministries. I wrote a book called Matriarch to Patriarch, the Black Woman God, about 10 years ago when the Great Mother laid this on me. And so I'm going to be talking to you guys about, because I've been hearing a lot of us talk about, what has been going on, what's been going on around us, what's been happening around us, uh, not being heard by the patriarchs. So we've been talking about it. Us ladies have been talking about our dissatisfaction with uh, with the patriarchs. Okay. And it is starting to impact us. I'm looking at my thing, you guys. Here we go. There, make sure I'm here. Okay, so we have been talking about our dissatisfaction. We have been talking about we don't want to date. We have been talking about these men, wanting them to change, and they are resisting. In fact, hi, at miscellaneous AB. Okay. Okay, just listen, because I'm just going to be talking and having a discussion with you guys. Now, you heard me cover a lot of things about the patriarchs, a lot of facts, a lot of scientific, biological things, spiritual things, because that's how they got us. They came in and they just started from there, because everything about our society was spiritual. We were in a homostasis environment before the patriarchs, uh, overthrew us, so to speak. I'm going to use that term, but it took them thousands and thousands of years. If you're interested in knowing more about that, I wrote the book Matriarch the Patriarch. Uh, Go, look at my YouTube videos. I've talked about this quite a bit, and now it's popular. Now women are being uh, put in this position, and it's not comfortable. It feels unsafe. We are angry, in its righteous anger, in its righteous rage. We have every bit to feel the way we feel when we've been systematically oppressed like this for thousands and thousands of years. Okay, thousands and thousands of years they've been doing us like this. And they have reset this clock on us like this at least 2 or 3 times. When we wake up, they do the same thing back over again. They do the same thing back over, like what they're getting ready to do now. They do another, for a lack of a better term, a handmaid's tale on us again. Okay? They have been going on. And what do we do about this? Now, the best way to look at the patriarchs is I had to look at it. I was like, why does this feel so familiar? Why does this feel so familiar? And then hearing other women talk about their experience in relationships, and we all start talking. There's a great thing about social media. We can come here and talk about our experiences, and it begins to connect us. So a lot of us talked about, we noticed that a lot of these men had narcissistic traits, heavy narcissistic traits. That's the first thing that we noticed. Then we started trying to put a word to it. We knew that it wasn't right. We knew it didn't feel right. We knew it didn't feel right. And then we got to talking, and we found the common thread. And we start to find out, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. This is he's a narcissist. We started finding out that there many men are more likely to have narcissism. Okay? It makes sense the way things are set up for them. It makes sense. So what do we do with the narcissist? Let me jump in here and we're going to have a discussion. What do we do with the narcissist? I left my narcissist. I walked away. And what is it telling you? What is it telling you, woman? If he's the narcissist, then you're the empath. So what is that saying? Most women have more empathy than they do. And what does the narcissist like do? What does he do? He's like a parasite. He feeds off your energy force, your life force. That's what narcissists do. Okay, they're parasitic. So I have some notes here. We're going to go over these notes. And I know you are angry and I know you are rageful. You have every bit to feel like that because those are all the DNA memories of your great mothers who had to live in this type of environment. Okay. And if you look at, you know, we're not only dealing with, hope I don't get because I be getting shadow banned. We're not only looking at systemic racism, we're looking at systemic sexism. You couldn't see it at first, but now you're starting to see it. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for helping people. You're welcome. That's what that is. Okay? It is systemic sexism. You don't see it. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is, ladies. Let's call it what it is. That's what this is. We need to start because it's embedded in the culture. It is embedded in our society. Women are being put in these subordinate roles by default. They call themselves giving us a little privilege. They think it's our privilege, but it's our divine sovereignty. We're supposed to have freedom and liberation. And now they're trying to snatch the rug from up under us again. Okay. And who does stuff like this? A narcissist. Okay. Living under patriarchy is like living with the narcissist, but on a societal scale. Every rule, every expectation, every culture norm is designed to make women doubt themselves, to make their gifts, their power, their voice feel like liabilities. Just like a narcissist manipulates, gaslights, devalues their partner, patriarchy distorts reality. Women are told their feelings are too much, their ambitions are unrealistic, their authority doesn't count. The system constantly whispers, you are not enough and you cannot do it alone. You are dependent upon me. Ain't that what they tell us? Ain't this what they be telling us? Every time you tell, I don't want no man with a man. You don't need me. You gonna need me to build something. I love what I can't mention the baby name. Her name is Serpent here on TikTok. And she said every time I hear y'all say this, what I hear you saying to me is, are you volunteering to be our slave? Because we just told you we didn't need you. And now you talking about building stuff and doing stuff. But this is just how desperate. Two is giving you an indication of how desperate they are to feed off your life force. They have to have it. They don't have to admit it. It is the things that we see back in history, the things that you have did to us, the systemic, outright femicide. They made it a cultural practice to unalive women, female babies and infants. You did this, you did that. Some of you countries did that. You did it for decades, some of you. And now it's too many of you on the planet. It's you knocking it out of balance. Okay? Patriarchy thrives on fear, shame, and control. Okay, we're seeing that now with the e-files. What did that man use? Blackmail and control. All that twisted inversion. God, great mother, help me, because I feel the rage. I feel the anger too. That's why I come here. Okay, that's why I do what I do. That's why I think it's very important that we begin to focus on us. It punishes independence and polices desires. It exploits women's labor, their creativity, their care, and their emotional energy, all while celebrating men and male dominated institutions as the ultimate beneficiaries. Women are idolized in roles that serve the system, perfect mothers, obedient wives, symbols of virtue. Yet the moment they stop outside those rules, they are devalued, criticized, and silenced. Okay. The moment that you start speaking up for yourself, the moment that you're outspoken and you tell it like it is, again, you're going to be blackballed. They're going to be, okay, you're a target. Now, this wasn't the first time this happened. We have always did this and they target us as witches. We knew that they were not safe. That's why you had women living in solitude. Okay, we saw this comment. This is all that you think, and I'm talking to all women now. I don't care if you black, brown, green. Listen to me very carefully, beloved. Listen to me. It doesn't matter what, because this message is for all women. Women have never had a problem with race. We had a kinship of womanhood and motherhood. That's never been our problem. We already knew who we were and who was our great mother and where we came from. We never had a problem with that. We had a kinship. We shared herbs and medicines and remedies. We were birthing each other children. We were giving birth to civilizations. Never had a problem. We understood nature to its core. We understood that. That was never a problem with us. That becomes a problem to the inferior species to divide and conquer. Okay, that's never been our problem. If we don't remember who we are and where we come from, we're going to let this stuff happen to us all over again. Okay, so we need to understand. And what is he using? Dark psychology. What does narcissism fall under? Dark psychology. When you got somebody playing with your mind, they are playing with the spirits of people. Isolation is another weapon. Narcissists cut partners off from support systems. What are they trying to do now? Patriarchy restricts access to education, money, and legal power, keeping women tied to a system that drains them. What are they doing now? They're trying to take that away from us. Okay? And at the deepest level, both narcissists and patriarchy attack identity itself. Women are defined not by their own vision or voice, but by external expectations, who they should serve, how they should look, what they are allowed to achieve. Spiritual, intellectual, and creative freedom is questioned, discouraged, and even punished. Okay? Make no mistake, patriarchy is narcissism on a larger scale. Okay? They're letting you know they have put in a lot of these programs that don't work anymore. Regressive programs, lower vibrational programs. I can go deeper with this, but I'm trying to stay on topic. I'm trying not to get spiritual and stay on topic with this. And when you do that, you open people up to spiritual attack. Its grandiosity fuels institution, myths, and systems that demand women serve while denying them full humanity. Breaking free requires awareness, courage, reclaiming power, not just individually, but collectively. We have to do this together. It's not going to work if we don't do this together. We are not outsmarted, we are out organized. We already know he's not smart. We already know that. Okay? Not very smart. So we know they're not smarter than us. They have been socialized very well and organized very well. And what do we have to do the same thing? We have to get back our sisterly love, our kinship. We have to have it. I don't care what color they are, they seem to have the same idea. They seem to all hold up each other raggedy stuff. Wouldn't you agree? They don't even have to know each other, and they support each other's dysfunction. Stop me when I'm wrong or when I lie. Hello, Miss Penny. Thank you for speaking out. You're welcome, sweetie. Stop me when I'm wrong. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the patterns, and I'm looking at, too, I'm listening to my great mothers and my ancient mothers who tell the stories that live inside my DNA. And many of you are coming back online, tapping into that DNA as well. You no longer can call us crazy, because now we remember. We know now. We actually know. We don't think anything. We know what happened to us. There's nothing you can do about that. Okay? The traits of narcissism in men are no accident. The system rewards it, reinforces it, and uses it to perpetuate women's oppression. The person the personal is political, and the cycle must be shattered. Women's liberation is not optional, it is survival. It is reclamation, it is revolution. Okay? So let's the conversation we need to begin with right now is one of what do we do next? I want to begin the conversation from a place of clarity and courage. What we are discussing is not fantasy, it is not escapism, it is not bitterness, it is strategy. It is love for ourselves expressed as structure. For too long, we have been taught that power lives in money, in corporation, and institutions, in systems built, maintained largely by patriarchal design. The resource is on the land, it is not in his fake money. This is going to make sense as I going on. Now is the time start to be talking about the solution rather than the problem, because we already know what the problem is. We already know what the problem. What is the solution? You want to get a narcissist back. If you want to overcome a narcissistic system, the best thing to do is focus on creating you a great life, a beautiful life without them. Ain't that's what they tell us when we go to therapy? And our therapist talk to us, said the best thing for you to do is focus on you and heal and focus on your ambitions, what you want to do, what makes you happy. That's what women gonna actually have to do collectively together. But in a space where we all keep each other safe. Okay? We have been told that security comes from employment within those systems, that survival depends on proximity to them, and that success is measured by how well we navigate them. But I'm asking us to pause and question that narrative. What if the greatest resource we ever had was never money at all? What if it has always been the land? It's always been the land. He didn't detach you from it. Remember, you were the one that were planting all the seeds. You are the one who knew all the medicinal plants. You are the one who was the midwife that was healing people. You was the one that's getting hung for helping and healing folks, not him. Not him. Okay. What if the illusion is capitalism and the reality is Mother Earth? And that's exactly what is going on here. They have disconnected you from the land. Some of you guys are not ready for this because you're not ready to unplug from the programming. You're not ready to unplug from that. Some of you are, some of you are not. Capitalism abstracts value. It turns land into property, water into commodity, and labor into profit margins. It disconnects us from source of life and then sells pieces of that life back to us. Some that we already supposed to have. Some that we're sovereign. We're supposed Mother Earth provides everything for us. There is no reason really, you make that up to give you a sense of power. Because if women had connection with their land, and we would continue to use their resources, the medicine, all that, we would not be interested in what you have going on. The only reason why women are interested in your program is because it provides a resource. But it's a counterfeit resource, not to be used in the way to control masses and disconnect people from their own sovereignty. You went it so far as to steal our divine sacerdotal power and corrupt the spiritual sciences. I mean, the level of corruption that in healing that we have to do here is surmountable. I have no words for it. I can't tell you, women, we don't have our work cut out for us. We do. But as planetary and guardians and the cosmic beings of this planet, it's our responsibility again, to close our legs, to stop his civilization from existing. I do not recommend any woman to bring any children in this world with the minds of men like this. Any children whatsoever, because they're not going to be safe. And if you do, please, right now we need to be talking about community. Community, have a community of women that's helping you. You're going to have to rethink this whole way of thriving in society, living in the world with them, and creating a society for ourselves. I mean, this is where it's coming down to. Okay? Capitalism abstracts value. It turns land into property. I just said that. The soil does. Okay? It teaches us that the market is our provider, but the market does not grow food. The soil does. The market does not create water. The river do. The market does not generate breath. The trees do. We are children of the earth. She feeds us whether we acknowledge her or not. She heals us whether we honor her or not. And yet we have been conditioned to seek permission from systems that do not recognize our divinity. We have to go back to her. We have to get back online to where we was. Go back to the land, separate, again, opening communities, starting communities that are, again, for women, by women, ran by women. A socio-political, what they call it, social political, a sort of movement. I'm talking big. I'm not talking small. I'm not talking small because what we dealing with ain't small. I'm talking about changing the world here. I'm talking about reaching out to women who's ready to do that. No more talking, no more rage, because they used to you doing that. You just talking, you ain't gonna do nothing. That's what they think. Ain't that what the narcissist think until you bust a move and then the mouth drop and now he mad? He wasn't planning for that. That's what I'm talking about, the element of surprises. I'm not playing with you no more. My job is to put heavy seas in these women's mind to create a society without you and let them know they got the power and tenacity and the support of the great mother to do it. That's what I'm here today. You know, nowhere talking. People tired of talking to you. Women ready to go ahead, bust. We're gonna show you how to create a society that thrives. Show them, because they don't know how. You've been raggedy for too long. So now the cosmic being, you X chromosome, gonna have to show him better than you can tell him. Nobody finna keep talking to you. You know, sense and be trying to run up in there and vote in their system. It's all corrupt. You see that with the e-files. You looking at that. Just raggedy stuff. All of it's raggedy. I wouldn't even want to be a part of that. Have to start something. Women got to start something totally new for them, by them, and never let them ever get power again, because you know the repercussions of it. So today, I am not here to debate patriarchs. I'm not here to convince men of our worth. They have already formed their opinions. We do not have time to center our energy on resistance alone. We must organize. Organize. Put your differences to the side. It's better now than thinking of it later. Okay? I'd rather, that's just like you don't plan on nothing bad happening. You got a weapon. Okay? So if something do, it's better to have it and not have it in case something pop off. Women have got to have more securities. And these women's shelters and stuff, they ain't cutting it. Because most of them was created by them and they only get them a small amount of funding. Or if you go to one of those shelters, tell them, are you going to be totally safe or not? Okay? You got to start thinking this way. All this complaining and stuff, you got to show the narcissist. We've been trying and trying and trying and trying for decades to get along with these folks. Are all of them like that? No. But it's too many like that for us to, put our lives in their hands like that. Patriarchs are not smarter than women. They are more organized. They built institutions. They built networks. They built systems. They build systems that serve their continuity. And if organization is what has given them the structural dominance, then organization is what we must now embrace. We need to have the same idea. They got the same idea to assault women and children and force, I can't even say they were women, to force themselves on young females and force them to have their children. Because that's what is gonna get it's getting back down to that. They're just trying to desensitize you into accepting it. Writing is on the wall. I don't know what else it's gonna take. You're gonna have to get out of the frozen. I don't know if you got PTSD or I don't know what's going on with you, but we're gonna have to get unfrozen. I'm not even over there in that country because I saw the writing on the wall. We've had this conversation. I've had this conversation with you before all of this stuff even start jumping off. Okay, foresaw this long. I did. Okay, we talked about this, and I'm telling you now that if we do not get organized and get the same idea, because we are not outsmarted, believe me. Are you looking at what we're looking at? We're looking at the same thing. You know they ain't smart, right? Okay, they not smarter than us. Okay, they just more organized. That's all it is. We begin by asking ourselves radical questions. Where do we want to build? Where do we want to build? This is the question we need to be asking ourselves. Location matters. Where do we want to be? Where's the safest place to be? Land matters. Geography matters. If women are serious about safety and sovereignty, we must consider the physical spaces where we gather. Rural land where we can grow food. Areas with access to water. Regions where zoning allows cooperative housing and agriculture. Agriculture can save the game if we're growing our own food. Farming can change the game. The closer to the land we live, the better and more freedom and liberation we're going to experience because he's living off this paper money. And that's about to crash for them in a minute because people are getting tired of this work, go to work and come home and spend all my damn money and can't live. People are tired of this. That's getting ready to break. People are tired of it. Don't nobody want to be working for you free. You did enslave humanity again with this false money. And you make the money. You go play. If you want to print you out $1 million, you can do that. If you want to put $1 million in your account, you can go to your computer and put it in there. You know you do that. Some of y'all don't even know the price of stuff because you got credit cards with no limits on it. You just that some of you that just that rich. It's ridiculous. And they are some of us idolize these people because of money, because of something counterfeit. I'm seeing this on the spiritual, and these people are some of them are rotten. Without that false covering, and you was get to know them, you probably wouldn't even want to be dealing with them folks. It's just all the glitz and glamour. It's like putting sugar on poop. Just because you put sugar on poop, do it make it candy? It don't make it candy because you put sugar on poop. It's still gonna be poop. I don't care how much sugar you put on it. That's what's going on here. They do a lot of that. Okay? That's what's going on here. We must study soil, climate, legal framework. Sovereignty is spiritual, yes, but it's also logistical. Imagine communities where women live within walking distance of one another. Small homes clustered around shared gardens, communal kitchens and meeting halls, seed banks preserved, passed down, rainwater collected, solar energy harnessed, herbal medicine cultivated and taught, elder guiding, young girls learning, skills circulating among us instead of being outsourced. We have to get independent, self-sufficient. We can do it. We can do it. This is part of our mission. This is part of our work. This is our planet. It ain't theirs. It's no way this planet belonged to them and you want to be ragged and hurt everybody on it. I Women ain't waking up wanting to do stuff like that. Why is all y'all want to do stuff like that? Why y'all want to do stuff? Why you want to push the button and just, hurt everybody? That's what it's going down. This is what it's coming down to. I don't nobody want to be right, and don't nobody want to raise no children around that. Okay? Don't nobody want to normalize their abuse and oppression, and that's what you're doing. You got actually people over there in America that's actually uh, renovating their cars, renovating buses, renovating vans and SUVs to live in them. Some people are staying in tents. Okay, that's what's going on over there. That's not normal. That's not normal. We've normalized this type of behavior because we're trying to survive. And they've got us caught in some type of, like I was talking to the Great Spirit about it. I said, I think we collectively all been re-traumatized and we're in shock. And I think a lot of us got PTSD. I really do. Think we do. That place that it makes you sick. That's what that does. What narcissism does. If you're around narcissism all the time, it is going to make you mentally and spiritually ill. And then it'll start deteriorating your body because that's how it affects the mind, body, and spirit. And you're dealing with that globally. That's why we have a high percentage of mental illness in that country because of that. That's why a lot of them crazy the way they is, because that is the programming that everyone is under, and they don't even know it. It's like a invisible jail. It's like an invisible jail. Okay, you stop me when I'm wrong. Food sovereignty becomes safety. If we can grow what we eat, we are less dependent on the systems that exploit us. If we can build our own shelters, we are less vulnerable to economic coercion. If we can generate some of our own energy and water, we loosen the grip of institutions that do not prioritize our well-being. The goal is to put less money in their system as possible, to starve them as much as possible. That's what you got to do to the narcissists. You got to cut them off and let them know you don't need them at all. Just by doing it, you don't have to pick. You don't have to pick up nothing. All we got to do is focus on us. We ain't got to pick up a gun now, because we know how sadistic some of them is. I do recommend that a lot of us learn self-defense. Get ready to go pick up some arms if you need to. A lot of them you gonna have to, because some of them act like they mad dogs. They lost their mind. Yeah, you can't. They really believe that they got a right to treat women and oppress women like we they property. And it don't help that the religion reinforces these ideologies. It doesn't help us at all that the religion enforce these ideologies. It's just all around you. Okay. This is not about romanticizing hardship. It is about redefining wealth. Wealth is fertile soil. Wealth is clean water. Wealth is skill sharing. Wealth is network of women who will show up for one another without negotiation. Wealth is land that cannot be taken because it is held collectively and protected intentionally. Putting it in the trust. A trust that's again that belongs to our organization, that belongs to us. Got to start thinking like this. Got to stop. We can complain all we want to, but I'm telling you, are in an era now where you put yourself in jeopardy trying to go in a relationship with them because they are highly jealous of women. They want to be women. Something is wrong with them. I don't see how you could, something is going on with them. Something is going on with them. Okay? And as you heal, you're going to demand a better standard out of him. And it angers him that he can't meet that standard. He's used to giving you the bare minimum. Besides, society have told him that's okay. The bare minimum is okay. And how dare you change your standards, have higher standards when you're supposed to be serving him? They don't want that programming to change. Okay? Community living can take many forms. It may be cooperative housing in one large structure with private quarters and shared resources. It may be multi-generational compounds where grandmothers, mothers, daughters anchor the space together. It may be land, trust, owned collectively so no single person controls the future of the whole. It may be eco villages designed with sustainability at their core. The form can vary, but the principle remains the same. We build together and we govern ourselves. Is anyone understanding what I'm saying? If you have anything to add here, please add it in the comments. And some of you are scared of things like this. I find that people that's in programming, when revolutionaries talk to people like this, people are so afraid. They want to keep complaining about it, but they don't want a resolution. They don't want to act until they're forced to act. But that's what it's going to take. You can't use an old system to make change. You're going to have to break the barrier, break that, and start something totally new. Governance is critical. We cannot simply gather and hope for harmony to sustain us. We must decide how decisions are made. Will we operate by consensus? Will there be a councils of elders, rotating leadership? What happens when conflict arises? How do we ensure accountability without recreating domination? If patriarchy's strength has been structured, then our love must be the shape of the structure. Okay, so we don't want to repeat anything that they are doing. And that's something to have start for us to have a round table and start having a discussion about. Are you really ready for change, Cosmic Being? Are you ready for it? How tired are you of that? How serious are you about seeing a different world, wanting a different world? How serious are we about that? In matrilineal societies, land and lineage flowed through women. Authority was tied to continuity and stewardship. Women cultivated food, selected leaders, removed ineffective rulers, and preserved generational knowledge. That's just like now. If we were ruling and this was going on with us now, we would have been set that man down. We've already eliminated all that, gathered that all them people would have been that would have been resolved. I'm gonna say it like that. If women were ruling, and that probably would have never happened in the matrilineal society because it was more community based, more family based, more family centered. So something like that wouldn't have happened in a matrilineal society where women were the center. Have you really thought about that? How many of us have really thought about this? Have you really gave this any thought? Have you? We won't change. I want that change for us. We're being thrust to make that change, whether we want to do it or not. Okay? That's what we're looking at. Their power was not dependent on permission from male dominated states. It was rooted in their ability to sustain life. Again, they were the one team, they the one had the seed. They the one were saving lives. They the one knew how the herbs and things how they work. Men didn't know that. Not many of them knew that. And when they did know it, we passed that knowledge on to them. It is important that we focus on getting organized. Okay? And our ancestors, they transmitted knowledge, how they protected the land, and how they structured their inheritance. Not to copy them blindly, but to understand what we are envisioning is not unprecedented. Women have governed, women have cultivated, women have organized entire communities around maternal continuity and ecological balance. We do it all already. We raise families by ourselves, we raise children by ourselves. Okay, and depending on how many children you have, some of us are raising a village by ourselves, alone. You see it in nature too. You don't. Who's taking care of the babies again in nature? Looking at nature, the mama is doing it. She's doing it alone. She's not asking him for too much of anything. Okay. Anyone want to add anything? Go ahead and add it here because I want to hear your thoughts too. Have you thought about this, or do we want to keep complaining? I don't want to keep complaining. I already know what you're gonna do. You're gonna keep doing raggedy stuff. I'm seeing by these files here the atrocities you have committed. I mean, I don't even think it's a word to even fit what has happened. I have no words for it. I'm beyond angry because you're going to keep on doing because now you want to normalize this doing this to children, women and children. You want us to be down with this. You want us to get be all the way down with this. And we've already expressed to you we don't want to do this. But you just keep on, keep on. Okay? That's where we live. That's what, you tell me what it is, because that's what it looks like to me. In many matrilineal societies, identity flowed through the mother. Among the Hassani Confederacy, children belonged to mothers' clans. Property, agriculture, fields, and longhouses were connected to women lines. This meant continuity was stable. Maternity is visible and certain. Structuring society around maternal lineage reduced disputes over inheritance and legitimacy. Because everybody knew who your mama was. You ain't got to wonder who nobody's mama is. You knew right off the bat who their mama was. You could pretty much, tell. Ain't nobody denying no. Now the father can deny a baby, but it's kind of hard for women to deny a baby. Okay, so when nobody gonna be doubting that woman's child. Didn't have that type of problem. Can eliminate that right off the bat. Okay, that made sense why it would go through the mother line and why it needs to go back online and be that way again. It is not far from us. It is not a fantasy. It is not a vision. We have overcome with so much. This is a reality that's capable of happening, depending on if you are ready to make that step. I don't recommend, again, trying to fit in their little boxes in their society, because again, he's not going to resist the temptations to feed off your life force. He can't live without it. They cannot exist on this planet without us, or anywhere from that matter without being in proximity to us. You think that you can't survive without proximity to him. No, he can't thrive without proximity to you. The only way that's gonna anything that flows to them naturally, again, is their relationship with the XX chromosome. If they don't have their relationship with the XX chromosome, they begin to self-destruct. That's the way they're set up. Okay. I think about it all the time. My biggest apprehension is patriarchal, misogynist women that will break the matriarchal system. So many women are subconsciously male centered. That is why it's important. Women like that, they would not be attracted to this message. They're going to stick over there with their man. And then you got some of them, they believe in the hype and the fantasy that you're going to one day get married and live a happy life with the XY chromosome. You can try that. I welcome them to try that, because they're not going to be happy in the long run. I assure you of that. Or maybe you need to go talk to your grandmother or your great grandmother if they're still alive and ask them about their experience. I'm sure they'll have a lot of wisdom to drop on you. Or better yet, look at the women in your family. How are their relationships with men? Okay. I've seen where YT women have been in these all women societies for decades, and I wonder how things would go when black women finally divest. People won't respond well at all. They're living in a society together. Women living in a society together. I like this experiment they did. I'm gonna talk about this little experiment they did with the young boys and young little girls. They did an experiment where they put these young boys in the house uh, with all the food they needed and all everything they needed it. And the little boys, they ran out of food. The place was a mess. It was just crazy. They ate all kind of crazy stuff. With the girls, it was totally different. They started crafting. They set out a schedule of who was going to be doing what, when, and where. They supported each other. I think you'll be really surprised. Okay, you really don't have that. And I can talk about my experience because I've lived in a woman's shelter among women. And among women, I mean, we were all races, Hispanic, we were white tea women, black women. It was just all of us. But when we got in the space and we start talking about our relationships of being abused, we became family. The race thing dropped. Now, I only had one situation where I had a run in with women in the shelter. And these are the two reasons why I had run-ins. We had one in the shelter that she didn't want to do her shadow work. She didn't want to do her work. She wanted to play the blame game and be a forever victim. She really needed to be in counseling. Okay. She had some real trauma going on, which caused me and her to have some friction. I had to let her know I don't play that game. Okay. Everybody else in the shelter was scared of her, but I was like, no, because you do the same thing all the time. So no, we tired of this. So and she was a little bully too. But once I stood up to her, she kind of apologized for her behavior. I had another incident in the shelter where they were using this girl as an informant in the shelter, and she was doing this to ensure that she had a place to live. I don't think that was fair, but that's how they was using her. But it is in my experience, and I've been lived at a women's shelter twice, two different ones, one in Oklahoma and one in. I probably got to take that back because I got a story behind the one in Oklahoma. Now, remember the one in Oklahoma, they were donating a lot of food. Now, I got to say, you might be right about this because now it takes me into the story and the impact I had on that shelter when I was there. But they were not feeding these women properly. They were taking the donations. They were just being unkind to these women. And these were other women doing this to other women. And I didn't like it at all. And you guys know I'm a Sagittarius. I'm outspoken. I tell it like it is. And I had been doing my own research. Uh, I had just happened. It just how things. I guess the way Great Mother lined things up and how my mind worked. I think a week before that, I was watching on the news where Blue Cross Blue Shield had donated, I think, 1.5 million to the uh, shelter there. And so there was no need for us to be in stress about anything there. But yet I was seeing this type of behavior from some of these women. And I was very dissatisfied with that because I know that doesn't go like that. We're supposed to be assisted. We've come out of these abusive relationships with these men, and we come here for assistance. We don't come here to get more abuse. And so I got upset because how she treated a woman that came in, and I was very upset the way she treated her, and she called the police on the woman. It was just uncalled for the way she handled her. There should have I just felt like she just had more compassion for her because the woman had been beat up. I mean, the woman had been beat up black and blue. The woman's face was all messed up, honey. And they put the woman out. Just hurt my heart when I seen them do that. I was mad. And I said, you know what? I called and I reported them, and the lady over there, she didn't believe I was calling them. I said, let me tell you something. I'm getting up early in the morning. I'm going down to the headquarters. And I went down to the headquarters and I reported those women. And when I reported what was going on there, um, then they came in there and they made changes. They started feeding us right. And of course, I began to be targeted after that. After officials came in and everything settled down, I became a target. I knew what time it was. I began to move because I didn't want to make it unpleasant for the women. So I went on ahead and left there. They didn't want me to go, but I was like, I'm just going to leave here. They was like, you got us eating right. You got them giving us back rights. You spoke out for us. You wasn't afraid. I said, I was happy to do it, but I got to go because they're going to try to get me in the pickle. Okay, they're gonna be after me because I done did that. I'll be forever writing these people up and going to report them to officials. But now that we got this together, y'all know how they supposed to be treating y'all. Hey, don't be no sucker. Speak up, cause ain't nobody gonna give you no whooping. You understand me? Don't let people treat you like that. So that was a beautiful experience. But I understand now that going back on that, yeah, there are women that can do that. But hopefully, now that's why I say it depends on who is ahead of the organization. Are we sitting down having conversations? Because see, these women are operating under patriarchy. We're not operating under patriarchy. These are two different types of mindsets. And the majority of those women were married and they thought they were better than us. Most of those women that work in those facilities, they are married and they think they're better than us. I had one woman like that in one shelter. She thought she was better than us until she had to be in there with us. And when she found out her husband was crazy, she was in there with us, living with us. But she thought she was better than us until she had to live in there and she found out her husband was crazy. Okay. And again, you have you. I can't doubt it, but I would like to be optimistic that these facilities will not be operated in a way like the patriarchs run their organizations and institutions. It's just a different vibe. It's a different feel. Yes, it was like that in basic training. Women bunks were organized, supportive of one another, except the ego driven, more male identified females. They did a lot of disharmony. Things always got out of order when we were placed back with males. Yep. And women got to unpack that. You got to unpack that too. Why you want a peacock for them? They have, I mean, the stuff we do, the lip injections, the butt injection, it's just the disfiguring of ourselves for them. I mean, they go out of their way to get us in the programming, the romantic movies, the love songs, and knowing they raggedy, knowing they gonna have to hypnotize you and manipulate you into being with them, so you won't see a lot of their raggedy stuff. Is all of them like that? No, not all of them, not like that, but it's certainly too many like that, and it does put our mind, body, and spirit at risk because it's too many. Okay. I hope I haven't lost any of you, but that, I mean, it is the truth. In many matrifocal societies, women control food production, distribution. Agriculture was not separate from governance. It was central to it. If you control the food system, you influence stability. Among the I'm probably saying this tribe name wrong, but it's called the Haudenosaunee. Women cultivated staple crops and managed surplus. Economic security flowed through women's labor and coordination. We were the one planting things. We were the one planting the beans, and we were the one planting the corn. We were the one finding all the medicinal and edible plants. Okay? We were doing that. And another thing too, even looking at our ancient artifacts and looking at, we made images and things of ourselves, and we had our own cosmology and our own beliefs and spiritual systems. you know I have to question too, how long have XY chromosome been on here? How long he been here on this planet? I question some of this. I question them, you know I really do, because many of the contributions to science period comes from women. It comes from women. All of this, you wouldn't have any access to this had you not been in contact with these women. That's where you learn it from. And then put your face on top of all of it. So then I have to ask you, where did you come from? You took time to study this and write this down. This is why y'all love Hermes. This is why you love Thoth. Yeah, we mapped the stars, we tilled the earth, we did all that. Things always go, yes, we did all, they didn't do any of that. And I think they know that, because when they see you doing this, or when women start speaking on, we can do things for ourselves, they start coming to us and ask us, well, what you gonna do? What you gonna do without a man? You ain't gonna be able to do this. Well, if it's just all women, who gonna protect you? We don't need any protection if you're not there, sir. You're the number one predator here. Okay? You're the person we're trying to get rid of. Okay? We don't need no protection. From what? We've been known to tame bears and lions and stuff, so we know how to protect ourselves. So I mean, you the only problem here. You're a threat to us. You sit with that for a minute. I think you guys should really sit with that for a minute. And you're not more powerful than us. That's, you'd have made yourself think that. But we can show you better than we can tell you, because nothing is more powerful than the womb. Nothing on this planet is more powerful than the womb. You've tried replicating that, and that ain't been turning out good for you. You're finding that out. Okay, that's why you want to make us have these women have your babies and stuff. That cloning stuff can't be working for you. I've seen that name before. Gambutters. I believe she was blackballed out of the industry for exposing their lies and revealing all ancient sites. I've seen that name somewhere. Gambutters. I've seen that name. Maybe it's in some of the books I've read, but I've seen that name before that you're mentioning. I believe it. When you go and read a Cosmic Mother, they're letting you know what was that Professor Chancellor Williams and what is the other Sheikh Diop? I think Sheikh Diop. They're letting you know when they were looking at these archaeological sites and showing men, especially black men, that women were there at these archaeological sites. These men told them that was impossible. They were not interested in that. They kept looking for themselves. You'll see that in a lot of their books. It's so disgusting because they make it look like the world revolved around them and they was the first ones on this planet. It's so well, they wrote a book about that, okay? They put Adam there. It's so disgusting. I mean, he is highly jealous of us. I don't think you understand that. You think that man is acting like that for nothing? He got because he's sassy, baby. He jealous of you. You can't make him act right. You wonder why he do this and why he do that and why he act like he's trying to compete with you. Why he mad? Cause he's sassy, baby. He want to be you. You talking to somebody that went out their way to write women out of history because he want to be the center of attention. He's sassy. He want to be a baddie. He can't stand women being in the center. He can't stand your beauty getting the attention. He can't stand that. This what's going on here. They even tried to justify their insecurities. Because you look good, you look good, you the reason why he act like that. You make him want to do something to you because you better than him. This how some of them really, really feel now. They showing you that every time. Is all of them like that? Nope, but it's quite a minute like that. Just seen the man, I think he was a MAGA supporter. He unalived his daughter. And she was not a MAGA supporter. He claimed he was drunk and the pew yow went off. Right in the middle of an argument, all of a sudden you're picking up a weapon while you're talking to your daughter and it goes off. This is his own biological daughter. And the percentage of these type of activities are starting to rise more and more and more, making it more and more and more unsafe for women. And yes, some of us got fathers, we got uncles, we got brothers. Some of y'all stuck on that. Some of us stuck on that. Okay? I'm not trying to blame you or anything else. But again, we have to look at the facts, what's been systematically happened to women, systemically happened to women. And your dad benefits from that. Just like just like you said, you have the pale color people that benefit from their privilege. You have them benefiting from their privilege. And some of you want to be in proximity uh, to them because of their privilege. It's the same thing. Sexism and racism work the same way. It works the same way. Except sexism is a lot stronger than racism because men, no matter what race, they collectively have agreed to suppress women. You think racism is some women, you start trying to get your stuff together and see won't it be a problem. It's gonna be a real problem. They'll all get together and do something to us. And it don't matter how we look. You think I'm playing? The book tells on them. They were not here at all. See? I thought the same thing. Side quest Archer. Like I said, the great mother put in me. I just don't feel, and I can feel that in my spirit. If you sit with it long enough, ain't nowhere in the world you from hearing you acting like that. You wouldn't do that to women and children. Ain't nowhere in the world you could be from here acting like that. Acting like that. Ain't nowhere in the world. You can't be. You cannot be. Okay? Or the only way I can see you acting like that is you got some type of permanent brain damage going on with you. I'm just telling you now. You have created all this. None of this is. You have created this. The world is dangerous with you in it, and it need to be a crime to bring you into this in this realm. It need to be a crime. It really do. And what you don't know is women again can make it to where you cease to exist just by closing our lids. We can shut down civilizations. Humanity will cease to exist. And then we can just bust your whole bubble. Because if you ain't got no people to hurt and all that type of stuff, your plan don't work. Folks start closing their legs and stuff. Well, nobody be studying you. You ain't got nobody to hurt. And it's getting that serious. Looking at what you done to them folks over there, honey, women ought to want to close their legs for forever with the stuff, pain, and trauma you have caused. And then you're collectively trying to go along and normalize this. And then you want us to think too that you said some good men, but where they at? Where they at? Where they at? Where's the good men that's pulling him up out there to putting that hands on this man, sitting him down? Where are they at? Where they at? Where are the defenders of women and children? Where they at? Because I don't see them. And you want us to feel safe. You want us to believe, it's hard to believe you're not all like that because I can't see the good ones because you ain't standing up. I ain't seen the good one yet. You can talk that talk or whatever. So I got to think y'all something inherently wrong with you. It's kind of scary. And I believe just like what that woman say, I don't believe they was from here. They were not here at all. They had created Abraham in order to legitimize themselves after all the trafficking and slavery they started. And that's another thing too. I heard, look at this. All of this started with them trafficking humans. They've been doing this from the beginning of time. That's what's going on in that Bible. Y'all been doing this forever, for decades. You started off doing this. This is how patriarchy started. This always been in their culture. They have always done this. Especially when you look at the Roman and the Greek culture. You've always done this. Then you see it again, when they start enslaving, people of color. You've always did this, all this trafficking and stuff. That's been your culture. That's why y'all been getting down. You've been misusing and abusing women and children from the beginning. Just from the beginning that you start putting your hands on stuff. I don't know how long you get here. I really don't think y'all been here that long. I really don't. I think you reset the time. I think, and some tell me, you ain't been here over no 20,000 years. I don't think you've been here that long. I just really don't. Some tell me y'all set the time with that to make it seem like y'all been here longer. That's why y'all wrote that Bible and stuff. But I don't think you come here at all. And then you keep telling this story that somebody, tampered with your DNA. And that's not our story. Our story for women is we came out the water. That's our creation story. Your creation story is that somebody made you, okay, in some type of laboratory, and that Genesis Bible story kind of uh it kind of mimics that, like you in some laboratory. And with my study looking at the Sumerian tablets, reading what the Sumerians wrote down, they said that it looks like a some type of laboratory experiment that was going on there in Samaria. So I have to, really ask, how long you been here? And I know our genetics, X chromosome genetics, is very, very old. I'm not making this up, okay? On paying themselves, these women don't understand the power they have. They've been conditioned to give it away. Yeah, we have, and it's so sad. You know, it's and I'm still doing a lot of self forgiveness because I was one of those women. I believe I was one of those women. Um, having to deprogram all of that. And two, it's even harder when we didn't have our mother sitting down talking to us like that, because I never had my mother talking to me this way, educating me about womanhood from a woman's perspective like that. Because again, we were programmed into patriarchy, so we believed a lot of stuff in religion, so that a lot of that programming was in there. Okay. They don't know we're literally hunted in traffic. They are telling, on themselves all the time, but nobody is paying attention. That's what's going on. They've been doing this from the beginning of time. They've been hiding it from you, but now they saying, "Hey, you're finding out now. This is what we do, and we want you to be okay with it. And you might be next, you may not be next, but we want you to get used to this is what we do. We don't want this to be no surprise to you. Okay? That's what's going on here." Now you can call that something else if you want to. You could think Miss Penny just making this up, and I'm trying to fearmonger. I'm never trying to fearmonger. If it wasn't in my spirit, if the great mother didn't put it in my spirit, I wouldn't be here. And some of you guys who've been rocking with me for a long time and looking at my videos, you can go back and see some of my videos, especially if you're in our community. I said this in our Patreon community. I said this before that man was elected in there. I talked about the shifts and changes that were going to happen when he got into office. Before this all this stuff even happened. And then when he got in the office, what did Miss Penny do? I got my butt on the plane and got up out of there because I saw the environment the environment that he's creating. It only puts stress on the mind, body, and spirit. And when somebody got you in that mode, you can't think correctly. Okay. Some of these women you can't blame because he's doing so much back to back. That's just like the narcissists do. The narcissists will keep doing stuff back to back to back so you cannot gain your balance. The same tactics is being used here, nothing different. He's doing nothing different. The patriarchs are doing nothing different. They're keeping the trauma going on back to back to back so you can't gain your sanity or your balance. That's what's going on there. He knows exactly what he's doing. Okay, it is boy, the term for it, I can't even call it witchcraft. The term for it is so nefarious. Uh, I don't even know the word for what's happening there, because on the scale it's happening to people. I don't like these astrologers giving all these zodiac informations when we not even on real time. I tend to look, if you look at Hindu astrology, that's going to be the closest astrology connected with the Great Mother. They didn't change hardly anything with that. They still are very much moon centered in Hindu astrology. They have again the most original astrology. Okay, versus the patriarchs There's a lot of deception that's going on with the astrology, because now they're making their self associated with the sun, and they have no cosmology. You have no cosmology. You don't have any cosmogenetic link. That's how I know you're not from here, because women have a cosmogenetic link. I can't see a woman acting like the way you act because of this connection we have with Mother Earth and life itself. You have no connection to life. That's why you don't mind destroying it and ruining and traumatizing it. But if you gave birth to something and gave birth to life, you wouldn't we want to do no. That's why I say you can't be from here. You have no connection to life. You don't respect it. You don't have any reference for it. And you damn sure don't serve a God, because you won't even bow down to other woman. And we are the God in the flesh. So I know whatever God you serving is in opposition of the divine. It's the other way. If it was a devil, then you would be serving it. We seen that with what's his name? The hunting, whatever the man name is over to Israel. They burnt up that Baal, and he said, "Hey, this is an act of war." So if that's what y'all been serving, you'll see them do too. Go up in there with Hermeticism, with the Baphomet. The Baphomet is just the same thing. Go look at the Baphomet and look at Baal. Look at the Baphomet and look at Baal. You tell me what it is. It's all Hermeticism. It's all gonna lead to the same thing. You're serving again the demiurge. This God is in opposition of the divine feminine, of the natural life force that's on this planet. You have set up a whole government, a political structure, uh, brainwash everybody here uh, to that structure. You have aligned them with inversion, and the people in church are up under that same inversion and programming, and they have no idea. Okay, yeah, Hindu. Go look at Hindu. You'll see a lot of divine feminine elements in a Hindu. They're very more accurate. I just love their system too. You go take a look at that. We talked about that in our community. You go take a look at that. I think you're gonna be pleased with it. Okay, you're gonna be amazed if you go look at that. Okay, that's what's going on in parts of southern Africa, like among some tribes, the rain queen authority has been linked to fertility and agriculture, prosperity, political stability was tied to ecological balance. Governance was inseparable from land, stewardship, and spiritual cosmology. This is a key pattern in women centered governance, often integrated spirituality, ecology, and law. This is all in one. We never separated that. Okay, it was all the same. It was community. There was a council of elders. We agreed on things, and we talked about things we needed in the community. What's going on with so and so? What do we need in our community? We addressed those things. We had relationships with our community. We were not far, and we had accountability. Okay, you're welcome. We had accountability. Okay, we wasn't. It wasn't about no money. What you see in regular stuff that's going on here now. Just a false. It's false. I mean, it's so hard for me. It's fake. Some damn paper and some metal. You can't eat this stuff. You cannot eat money. Okay. If you got a bag full of money and you're not near any food or water, what is that money going to do for you? It's not gonna do absolutely nothing for you. Nothing at all. You're gonna starve and thirst to death because you ain't got no food and water, but you got a pocket full of money. That does not do you any good at all. So you tell me, where's the wealth? Where's the wealth? Let's use our common sense now, because they have just brainwashed us. Now I got to come here and try to peel that back, because we got to decolonize. We got to, again, remove all this false. They gave you a false reality, a false material world. We already broke this down in the demiurge, what they was talking about, how all the deception, all the hijacking that's going on here, and can't continue to grow. Man, women, again, we can blame him, but again, who bringing the children in here so he can do it? So we got to take some accountability. Who keep bringing the children in here so he can keep doing regular stuff? You want the regular stuff to stop? Guess who got all the power? Guess who the power source? Us. We the power source. So if we cut that off, he has no power. Nobody to pretend in his little delusional reality he's created, because it is an illusion he has created, and got everybody participating in it. Just like he repeats this all over again. I'm logical. Women are more emotional, and we're logical. But yet you putting your hands on women, unaliving women, and doing all types of atrocities to women and children. But you're more logical. It's sad when you got to live with a man like this in your home, but when you got to deal with this in your whole country, it is exhausting. It is exhausting. And then have the nerve to tell women we bitter and all that, and we mags, we ain't got no man. Don't nobody want you. Why would somebody want another a person, another dependent, somebody they got to take care of, because you just like a 3-year-old toddler. Who wants you like that? You want somebody to cook for you, be your servant, and all that sort of stuff. You want a mama, and then you want to turn her into your side piece, and you just want us to wear all these damn hats. We save more of our energy just not dealing with you. And if we want to take care of somebody, we know how to get us a cat or a dog or something, or a plant. We know how to do that. And then women, I look back at myself now. I just really wanted to be married, honey. When I start doing this healing, doing my shadow work, I started realizing I didn't like none of that. Then when I got on my spiritual journey, my awakening started, I said, I don't like none of that. I don't really like cooking for him. I don't even like to cook. I don't like none of that. Okay? It really started to wake up. I don't like that relationship. It's disgusting that he needs me for that and look at me that way. And it's disgusting that, I can't wait to be his slave. I can't wait to be his servant. Because that's the mindset that I was in, wanting to be somebody's wife. They have trained you to be a slave. Oh, I can't wait to be a slave. I can't wait to have his children. I can't wait for him to just suck the life out of me. Oh, I just can't wait. I can't wait to rub his feet. I can't wait to be his maid, to make his doctor's appointments, him to know everything about him, and he don't know a damn thing about you. And sometimes he don't know nothing about his kids. This how you sound. I can't wait till one day we look back on this, and we look back at this and just shake our head and be like, I can't believe that we was like that. They got us thinking our womanly duty is childbirth. Meanwhile, we unalive from that process all the time. I don't think we understand what the process is really about and supposed to be. I believe that because they romanticize it all the time. You know what I'm saying? They have to feed you, regurgitating with these movies. I just see it all the time. I was on YouTube, and now every time I go on YouTube, this commercial comes up. What does it say? She thought I painted her neighbor, but it was really her soulmate. They're really starting to push this kind of stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck? What? I mean, they're getting kind of desperate with that, even with the dating ads. They're really trying to push that out. Really trying to push you to mate and believe in this love thing again. But I assure you, it is a contract, and it is a fantasy. Now, you will look up and you might get a good one that's very far and in between. I don't think it's many of them. I think it's maybe 2% like that. And I think I'm being generous with the 2%. Okay, I think it's probably 2% of them not like that. But the rest of them tend to be like that. And that, like I said, I think I'm being generous with the 2%. Okay? I think I'm being generous with the 2%. Not, I just look at the men in my life, all the, my uncles, my fathers. I'm looking at them. Even though there was my uncles, my fathers, my brothers, them folks is raggedy. They did not show up for me. Not none one of those men showed up for me. Okay, wasn't there the way I needed them to be. Okay, and I don't give them a pass because they're my uncles, my brothers, my fathers. No, I don't give them a pass. I see those characteristics in them. It explains so much of why they are the way they are and why they didn't show up for me. Okay, very few, and they won't stand a chance against the 98%. Yep, because they give the 2% of the men. It's not like that. They give them hell. They want to do something to them. How dare you do something right by them? No, we supposed to treat them like slaves. That's how they treat it. The men to be trying to speak up for them, for us. They be mad at them. How dare you caking, you pandering, you this and that. You gonna treat her. You gonna treat her rotten like we gonna treat them. How dare you treat her equal? How dare you give her any love? This how they act now. This is how they act. It's mind-boggling. You think somebody want to be with you like that? Nobody want to be with you like that. Okay, I think they introduced the psychopathic, sociopathic traits into humanity. They did that through dark psychology. Go look at dark psychology. I went down this road through shadow work because I did a lot of root work in myself and trying to figure out what was going on. Why was this narcissism so prevalent in our society? And when I started looking at why narcissism was so prevalent in our society, it is because our society over there is built on dark psychology. That's the foundation of the mentalities over there in America. You're going to see the psychopath, the sociopath, and the narcissism. Again, those are the dark triads to dark psychology. Can't say it ain't there because it's prevalent. That's why you got this ritual abuse with these children and all that, because that's the psychology. You got it in the church too. The dark psychology is in the church. It's everywhere. Okay. And what is God? A consciousness. If you want to again tap into a higher frequencies, you're going to have to again tap into a higher consciousness. And they are not able to do because they have aligned everyone with the lower frequency of consciousness. And now that a lot of us are tapping into our higher frequency of consciousness, going back on our online, and a lot of knowledge is coming through, they're trying to get us back on that lower frequency, back on that programming. It's the same thing. I hope it's making sense. But you go do your study and you look at dark psychology and you look at what's happening around you, the behaviors of people around you. Honey, when you start doing shadow work and looking at yourself, you got to go into your whole psyche if you're really doing the work. You want to make me, I wanted to make sure, hey, what's making me sick like this? What's making me think like this? What's making me have a hard time peeling back these beliefs? Where is it coming from? So if you're really doing your shadow work, you're looking at your family. Yeah, you're looking at your family, all that. Then you're looking at the environment your family was in. Why your family was raggedy like that? What made them raggedy? What issues were they dealing with that made them have these beliefs? See, I go all the way deep with it when it comes to root work and shadow work. And once you've done that and you unpack that, it is hard for people to screw with your mind. You're not going to let them do it. Especially if you didn't heal from a narcissist, you're gonna be able to pinpoint that right off the bat. And some of us are doing it. Some of us are not doing it. Okay? And let me finish up here and I'm gonna let you ladies go. I don't want to keep you long. Some of you are at work. And of course, this is a different time that I am doing this. Many matrifocal societies favor council-based governance rather than unilateral command. Excuse me, elders, often senior women, held significant influence because age meant lived experience, ancestral knowledge. So you do want the elder women on there. You do want the mother who has experience with raising children and families and having relationships, successful relationship, raising children successfully. These are type of people that you want to be on the council. Okay? And usually this happened with family clans and tribes. You had, again, the elder women that would sit on the panel. Now, when men began to take in spaces because they got it to where they started making these regulations where they didn't want to talk to nobody but men. They didn't want to talk to us women. So then we had to start choosing men to speak on our behalf with the people in mind and not his personal interests. And he was held accountable. If he did not speak for all of us, he was removed and replaced. Okay? That's usually how it happened. But most time, women had the power. The people had the power. You know how they got that triangle going down. You got the elites at the top, and then it goes on down and trickles to us. No, this up. It's really not. It's not up there right. It's supposed to be like this. The people power is with the people. Okay, and then the other people at the top, the leaders or whatever, it trickles up to them. The power trickles up to them because we're putting them in the place. So the people are supposed, the triangle at the tip of the triangle is supposed to be the people. It's supposed to be like that, representing the womb. Even this way, it's representing the womb. This how this supposed to be. It's supposed to be the people right here, and then again the officials at the top, where the power moves up and don't move downward. The power is supposed to move up, and as long as it's moving downward, we can't excel. We need the power to move up. Put it again. It's supposed to go back into the people's hands. People's supposed to have it. I really enjoyed the Gnosticism breakdown you did. Thank you for doing that because they definitely ruined it running with that to the distance themselves from Christianity, but it's no better. No, all of it is built on Hermeticism. When you start looking at Gnosticism, you start looking at with these patriarchs, they start to write things down. They start coming up with their own concepts or ideologies on how they want to set up this new world. That's why you have different sorts of religion, but all of them have the basic foundation is Hermeticism, these doctrines and rules and all this stuff. That's what gives them the power. This stuff is not in them. They have to write it on the paper. That's why they gave you a book. They have to have a book. It's not in them. The law we had was cosmic law. We didn't need no book. We went by universal law, cosmic law. He had to create a fake law. And what do you have to do? You have to put it in the paper, put it on some paper and stuff to keep it together. Just like he got this paper with this money. It don't amount to a hill of beans. And then he has to beat you and convince you and brainwash you into believing that that stuff has any value. And then he has to create a world around that. That's what has happened here. And we're addicted to. You seen them do talk about this on Sinners. What do you think that movie Sinners was about? Sinners was about that. It was about capitalism. Go back and watch that again. I know you were very entertained by it. They do a good job of entertaining us, and sometimes we miss the message. But that's what was happening there. Okay? So that's what they got. And a lot of people were so addicted to this capitalism because they have you thinking that's freedom. And it's not. They all decided that this was freedom. They all decided that this give a value. They took the resource and the value for the woman and created a false resource for themselves. They can't produce that for they can't produce they're not a natural resource like women. Women a natural resource. That's why they got to have you. They have to again create a counterfeit resource. Do you understand what I'm saying? This might sound strange, you know, and a lot of people that think ahead of time, they sound strange. We've listened to some of our ancestors and they told us, what's her name? What's her name? Crescent Wilson, I think her name. She talked about how men was going to be wearing dresses and how their pants is getting low and low and low. We never thought that was going to happen. Bam, it's happening today. She said it was going to happen and it's happening. Okay. Professor Neely Fuller, he talked about how it's going to be all these, black people doing this, black people doing that, but at the same time, black people going to be mass unalived at a mass rate. Is this going to be confusion about what's really going on? We didn't understand what he was talking about, but we're seeing it today. Okay. So again, you're gonna see more of this. That's why they're coming up with the Epstein file. They letting all that out. They're gonna try to normalize that. They even censored when I talked about this on my TikTok channel. I posted about this movie called Children of Men. Go back and watch that movie. It's a movie that came out, I think, in 2006 or 2008. It's called Children of Men. Very strange movie because in the movie, no one woman had a baby within 20 years, and the youngest child person that was born on the planet had passed away. And then it goes on in the movie, this black girl, she ends up getting pregnant. And this is the first baby that has been born within 15 or 20 years. And at the time I was watching that movie, it didn't make sense. Just like when I was watching Handmaid's Tales, but it felt so real. I was like, why does this feel real? And where are they getting this from? You know, and now in the present day, it makes sense. So they're telling you all the time, but sometimes we are not getting the message. They letting you know this has happened before, and they're getting ready to reset it. And then with this war again, he's gonna start this same thing again. This is the best time for women to start removing themselves. When they get ready to go into these wars, start moving yourself on out the way. It's the best time to remove yourself when they start doing crazy stuff, because that's what's getting to happen. And then they want you to hold them down while they do raggedy stuff. That's what they did with most of them wars. They put the children and the women to work, and then when they got back from the war, they took the jobs and stuff from the women and the children. You go look at it. If I'm lying, go look at the history. And that's why women need to move. Now, if you're gonna start that, you're gonna run that whole thing together, and we're gonna be over here. Ain't nobody finna hold you up and hold up your society and your raggedy stuff. Nah, we going over here to go do this. You're not finna do no child labor and all that. Ain't nobody gonna do that with you. You should have thought about that before you went out there and thinking, somebody's gonna hold you up. Women did it last time. It's time to get away from that because I think it's gonna be crazy when that starts. They are the aliens. They keep trying to make us think are in the sky and crossing the borders. I believe it. I just, and that might sound crazy, but it's not crazy. You saw Billy Carson talked about that. He talked about the Anunnaki, and you hear a lot of them repeat this story. I see mostly men repeat this story when they start talking about where they come from. I'm seeing mostly men, and then our story. If you look at our story, we come from the water. We have more water in our bodies. Okay. The first mother is said to be a water being. Okay, that's our story. There's no in our story just looking at women's spirituality, tracing your story without listening to him because he gonna have you thinking you come from his rib and all this other crap. You know what they done did to us, okay? But when we start looking at our story is that we come from water, and that makes sense. Okay, they know the Y chromosome on its way out, but they trying to make it seem like it's white people. Yeah, it's the whole total Y chromosome among all of them. Okay, it's the whole Y chromosome among all of them. Some are degenerating as fast as other, but they all have that Y chromosome, and it doesn't really matter. I don't really think it's matter the color because we all have the same mitochondrial DNA. You coming from that black woman. It's not a person here that didn't come from her. We understood this. Your first mother she was dark. She looked like me. Okay? She looked like me. Your dark mother looked like we understood this. Mermaids. That's basically what it was. Mermaids. We came from the water. That's our story. The nomos, they talk about the nomos and all that. That came from us. And then you got them stealing, trying to be like us with this fish garment and all that stuff. Go back and look at these stuff. I think I talked about that. I've made so many videos about this and broken this down because I'm telling you, I was getting so many downloads and so much enlightenment was coming through. I try to share as much as I can with you guys. But that's our story. Our story is that we come from the water. And they are very, I don't know if it's DNA memory with them. Some of them are very adamant that they come from somewhere else. Some of them are adamant about that. Like, I don't know if it's DNA memory with them, but you can't tell them anything different. Okay? Some of them are adamant about that. And with women, no, we come from the water. That's where you know, that's where we started. I mean, you see that in the beginning of the Bible. What was there? The water, and the great mother moved upon the faces of the water. So the water was here. You're seeing it right there. And see, he taking your story and twisting your story and making it his. That's what they do. That's what they done. And then they ignore what they done to you. They'll talk about all these other holocausts, that didn't happen to people in different areas, but they're not going to talk about what they do to women and children. Because if you was to see what they've done to women and children, you will be backing up from them. You will be horrified. And they did it with no remorse, with no empathy whatsoever. Okay? They was sleeping with children, 12, 13, 10. Look what they doing it now, trying to legalize the same thing. It's nothing different. This is who they are. Okay? Stop asking him to change because he ain't got that in his nature. Go look through history. Have you seen that anywhere in history? Even in their Bible, this God, instead of telling them to do the right thing, do the right thing, do the right thing, do the right thing. When you start looking at that Bible too from a divine feminine perspective, it's very clear that many times the great mother is talking to man, telling him to get his raggedy stuff together. But they making you think a man saying this. Now, Ain't no man telling you this got to be the great spirit, the great mother telling y'all to get y'all regular stuff together. A lot of that is what's going on, and you done put a man spin on it. Yep, I believe that too. As Side Quest Archer said, they are the original hive mind. I believe it because I've seen it be like a different person. It's like the Matrix, the Mr. Smith in all of them. Damn it. Okay? It's scary when you see it. It's like a hive mind. I think it's something else sinister because of what I experienced with my family when you're trying to get at the system, get out of that. It's like this mind would jump from one person to a person. It's like this spirit is jumping from person to person trying to get to you. Okay? It's very spiritual what you got going on where when you letting these things in like that, when you're dealing with a mind like that, you're giving permission for these lower energies to come in here and inhabit you and other people. See, that's what y'all don't know. It's spiritual too. When they lower your frequency like that and put you in them programs like that, they allow, again, lowering your frequency with fear and anger and all this stuff. Again, it opens you up for these other spirits to inhabit you, and they don't mind it because they want these spirits to control them. This is what they do in Freemasonry and all that. This is what they be doing. You see that Aleister Crowley said what you calling a demon. He said this in his book in the cult. What you calling a demon, well, one day we'll be calling the alien. So what's the difference between a demon and the alien? And I leave you with that. They wrote this in a little fancy book now. And what did that alien, what did that demon look like that Aleister Crowley was communicated with? It had a big old head, like an ET head and everything. And this is something he conjured up in the occult sciences. And what did they say? They call them reptilians. They're going by different names. But what really are they? Interdimensional beings that they have allowed drop the frequency low enough that they can warp in and out of that reality. See, I ain't ready to go. That's what you dealing with. I mean, this stuff goes so deep you can't even imagine. I'm keeping it surface level now. It goes really deep. When I say they have created, uh, you know, uh, they have created an environment that will impact your mind, body, and spirit. They deliberately did that. Okay, I think the Lilith and the Cali spirit jumped on me when I went through my stuff. Yeah, because you're gonna need that. You're gonna need those mothers. You are gonna need those ancient mothers, those ancient archetypes that they deem evil. That were outspoken and didn't take no crap from men. You're gonna need that energy. That's the kind of energy that we're going to need to heal us and to make us strong. That's the energy you're gonna need. Because believe me, he's using lower vibrate. The people just told you that they serve in Baal and Moloch, that they sacrifices children, and then they want to eat babies and stuff. Okay, they done already told you that. I don't know how much clearer it's gonna be. And I know you think you're probably in shock. You probably said that can't be. It's no way. Okay, you stick around till you start seeing it in live living color. Till you sitting at the table and somebody offering you something. You want to sit in live living color? That's the only way you're gonna believe it. Okay, I don't want to stick around for that. I'm not sticking around. When I see somebody else, that's just like if I see an event, I see somebody else running. I don't got to see what's happening. I'm gonna run too. I don't got to know what's going on. If they running away from there, I'm running away from there too, because I don't want to find out what's on the other side of there. Okay, I don't have to see. If you told me, I believe you the first time. I believe when you showed me you was raggedy and rotten the first time. You ain't got to show me nothing else. I'm gonna move around. You ain't got to show me. I believe you the first time that you raggedy and rotten. I don't need to see nothing else. You showed me enough. I believe you. You don't have to prove any. I believe after seeing all that stuff that happened with the folks with the e-files and all the traffic and all that, I believe you. You don't have to convince me of anything. I see the evidence of your work. So let me move out the way because I don't want to be touched by that. I don't want minds to be touched by that. Believe we, women, you don't believe them until they show you. Okay. So again, we had a council of elders, and it does need to be somebody experienced over doing this. Um, and it does take women that have a passion that really want to see change to be involved in something like this. That doesn't mean there are no hierarchy. There are roles. There were leaders, but leadership was relational and accountable, not absolute. Not like you see today. Can't nobody grab that man down. They too busy voting and all this kind of stuff. Now, if that happened in the matrilineal society, we'd have already gathered, had a meeting, and set him down. That would have been eliminated right then and there. But see, they have made all these regulations and loopholes that give them privilege that they can't even sit each other down because they're not operating out of cosmic universal law. These are rules and regulations to maintain their hell on earth because this is truly their hell on earth. They got you thinking that you're gonna die, go to a hell while they done created one on earth. Okay. And we were in a homostasis environment and first. Women were not in no strain or economic strain. Humanity was not in the economic strain like that. You were living. You woke up to live. You got up, you grew your own food, you made your own clothes. Okay, you had plenty of water, plenty of light. You got up every day to live, to thrive, not to go to work and be on somebody else's clock. Your job was to live and create in nature, to take care of nature. You were one with nature, and you were in a homostasis environment. And long as you were in that environment, again, the world, everything just grow naturally around you because of the energy you were in, the space that you were in. It just created more and more abundance and pleasure for you. You can't get that now because every time you get ready to get some type of relaxation going on, here they come with some raggedy stuff. And then over there trying to gaslight people on the news, it trips me out. Yeah, yeah. The cost of food that went down. The cost of that job. Everybody got jobs now. Is so much better now that I mean, gaslighting the hell out of people. If that ain't narcissism, I don't know what it is. Okay. This creates a different social stability. Women are not economically displaced by marriage when they live in these societies as well. You won't have to be displaced by marriage. You will have a community again that is very supportive of women. And you have made again be in a society for women by women. So there would be no economic type of displacement or having to worry about anything like that. A natural ecosystem, and we were and are a literal part of it. It grows just like our hair. Okay. And you have to give, and he's trying to disconnect you with that. They're trying to disconnect you with that. That's why they need you in their religion, in their Abrahamic of religion. They need you in that stuff to disconnect you from your natural habitat. Now, I think who did a really good job of explaining this. I can't even read that without getting so mad looking at the way they manipulate us. is the great cosmic mother. They went as so far as to break down our whole psychology, uh, the way they can manipulate us into programming our children to participate in their society. It wasn't going to work if they didn't program us to train, because we're the first teachers. So we start programming our children to grow up, get a job, make money, and live in that society. We didn't know we were putting our children in danger. We didn't even remember that they programmed us to do this. But now that we know, when you know better, you can do better. So we have to, again, teach our children, if this is your choice. I don't recommend you have any, Lord God. I don't recommend it for you. Take them back to the land, showing them how to grow food, how to build houses, how to be self-sustainable, because that's a false reality. He wants to make you a slave. They want you to participate in what they got going on. Just like these superstars, they want to be stars so bad. They go out there and then they get up there and they become famous, only to become a slave, only to become, uh, their slave, their servant, only to be used and abused. And it's really scary because now you said you want to be a star. Now you're in jail. You put yourself in jail because now you're a star, you're a celebrity. There's nowhere you can hide where nobody don't know you. That's the crazy thing. That's something. Some of them can't even run because there's nowhere you can run where ain't nobody gonna notice you because you say you want to be a star. Now you put yourself in a whole jail and you're gonna be a servant to them people forever. Have you thought about this? Some of them want to get away. Some of them don't want to be famous no more, but there's nowhere they can run where don't nobody know them. And if they do run, they run to another country like Africa. I think Michael Jackson went over to Saudi Arabia somewhere. He had a Arabian prince friend. There's nowhere they can run where don't nobody know them. Some of them stuck in there like that. Okay? We still do it today. All the degrees and no clue. We not smart at all. Just building our prison and mating with the warden. That's what it is. And practically, too, it's coercion. Uh, you know, it's it's grape. It's grape on a mass scale. That you created a system like this to give men, patriarch, that type of access to our minds and bodies and not give us justice behind it. If something happened to us, you let some of these men go free. I know too many stories of domestic violence incidents where men are let go free and these women are no longer with us. I mean, you see, I've seen it over and over again. I've talked to so many, because I've lived it. So I'm not telling you anything I haven't lived. I've been in the shelter. I've been among women. I've had a kinship with women. We've talked about our issues. We talked about, and I saw the similarities and correlations in a lot of our stories. Okay. And so this stuff has just just going on for just so many decades. And it's exhausting. And I really don't recommend being at the age that I am now. I would think it would be totally irresponsible of me not to come here and talk about this to you, knowing that I have experience. And I think more women that has had the experience with the like this needs to be talking to the younger generation so they can really think about these relationships they're getting into and what risks they're taking by getting in these relationships. It's not all happy. I want to get married because that honeymoon phase it fades really fast. Their mass drops really fast. Okay, this is programming. Uh, sit with that. Okay, because many of these societies were kinship based. Conflict had to be resolved in ways that preserve relationships. Exile or execution was not always the default. Restorative approaches were common, particularly when the goal was maintaining clan continuity. And you'll see some of that today. You know, if you stole something from somebody back in the day, they used to have this, then you would have to go over there and sweep their floors or clean up the store for a whole week as an apology for stealing. So that's a sort of restorative justice that's done more in a matrilineal society. Or, they will have something in place to resolve conflicts, very different from how it is today. And it wasn't a lot of violence like that. When you have women running things, there's less violence going on there. You have really, well-rounded, wise women running things. You won't see a lot of violence. We still do it today. Yeah. Intergeneration transmission was also structured. Knowledge of agriculture, ritual, midwifery, herbal medicine, and law was passed from elder women to younger women. Governance was not just political, it was educational, cultural, survival depend on women teaching women. We always did that. You notice when y- you know, when it comes to medicine, sharing herbs and things like that, women knew that knowledge and we would share that. Okay, you kind of see that too in hoodoo. Uh, Women held a lot of that herbal knowledge, and then you have them trading that knowledge with some European women. They're sharing some of that herbal knowledge with them, and some of the European that had herbal knowledge, they would share it with some of the hoodoo practitioners. So you saw some cross cultural stuff happen between some of the women. This was a common thing. Okay. When colonial powers entered these regions, one of the first disruptions was refusal to recognize women's authority. European administrators often negotiated only with the male representatives. So you saw that in our indigenous cultures. Now, even some of the indigenous cultures, they were still keeping a matrifocal community. But then when you have some of these colonizers coming in, they're saying, no, we don't want to speak with some of these women. We want to speak with the men. And so that forced some of the indigenous power, the indigenous people to give power over to males because the colonizers refused to talk to women. Okay. So again, that messed up a lot of indigenous cultures as well. So you have some of that going on. And they were giving them more privilege. Okay. Men tend to think tend to went right into this with them. All right. Over time, colonial law restructured inheritance. Land ownership governs in ways that centralize male authority. So, part of what we see today as traditional patriarchy in some region is actually the product of imposed legal system. We are not living in a small scale clan societies. We are living in a nation states governed by complex legal economic systems, but the principles can still inform community design. Okay, still can happen. For example, collective land ownership through trust can be echo matrilineal inheritance. Rotating councils can replace singular leadership. Food sovereignty projects can recenter women in economic infrastructure. Intergenerational housing can recreate maternal continuity instead of isolated nuclear families. The core insight is this: women structure society not by mimicking domination, but by embedding governance into kinship, land, and continuity. This is all about family. This is all about community. This is all about relationship. Not like what he's doing. I'm the man. I'm in charge because I'm the man. It's basically what you just said. And don't nobody know nothing about you. And you most of you raggedy. That's what you just said. You ain't said that I done raised 5 children by myself. They all turned out to be really, really good. I ran a full household by myself. Everybody lived. Everybody doing okay. You ain't said that. Most of y'all be raggedy and want to tell somebody else what to do because you a man. This is what you do now because society gave you some type of privilege. And then you can't stand the fact when we tell you you don't run nothing, you get mad. And even when you are in a relationship, most time it's the woman running something. She just make you think you running something, and you not. We have to make you think that so you don't go crazy. That's just how narcissistic you is. Some of you. We got to make you think you in charge. Because if you don't, honey, you gonna have a fit. But you say we emotional and all that stuff, and we're illogical and all that kind of stuff. But I don't see nobody doing that stuff but you. Okay? When a system consistently fails to prioritize our safety, our dignity, or our long term well being, women can't just protest forever. Okay, we can't keep doing that forever. You can go talk to you blue in the face. They ain't gonna hear you. They folks, honey, I never forget that election when the man got voted in. These women were so heartbroken when Kamala didn't win, and then they took away your body autonomy. I mean, women were just they were sad, they were grieving, you were heartbroken. They should have let you know that them folks ain't gonna let you do nothing. Not no woman. We gonna have to do that for ourselves and have some all on our own without them. They not my thing is yeah, you sure right, you sure can have that. Watch me move. That's what need to be said. Okay, you sure right. You can have all that, but watch me move. And don't you come over here either. Cause you ain't welcome. I'm gonna respect what you said. Keep everything that you have. Keep that. I want you to keep all that and mean what you say. I hope you mean what you say, cause you're gonna have to mean it. Cause the way I'm gonna move, you ain't gonna have no choice but to mean what you gonna say. That's how you gotta be with them. Cause you dead. I'm not gonna let you come within 50 feet of me with all that crazy stuff. How tired are we? Are we that tired yet, you guys? What we are seeing with women forming small community is not random. It's adaptive behavior. You have some women that are doing this, but I think it needs to be even more. This needs to be more normal. Getting the community, getting away from them. Start buying a property. Start organizing. Stop getting out these churches. For God's sake, women, get out of these Christian churches. You are not serving the God you think you are serving. You are not. You are not. That outlet with, if you ain't got, if you don't understand that and you don't got no personal empowerment in there and you worshiping a man up in there, then now you ain't you got that wrong. You ain't worshiping what you think you worshiping. They have aligned you up with the Lord deity and got you scared of the devil, and you don't know you worshiping the devil up in there. And this was different when they had hoodoo in the church because it was more ancestral center. But they took that out of there and put Freemasonry in a lot of the black churches as well. So you got that they just been totally compromised. A lot of them that got a lot of these men into this Freemasonry stuff, into this raggedy stuff. You'll have a lot of men. Oh, that's not like that. Well, who is this? Jehovah, or whoever the hell that is y'all serving up in there. This generic God name y'all have in there. Y'all done put some names to stuff together. What is that? And why you going through all that when you just simply worship the woman? All you doing all this so you can reject the original spiritual essence on this planet. Free my son. You want to be free from the divine feminine. You want to set up something in totally opposition of her. You want to make up fake wounds and stuff like that. You want everything in reprobate. You want to sit up here and eat on babies when you had the holy sacrament. You had the menstrual from the holy womb. That's the sacrament you supposed to be drinking. But you will go so perverse because you hate the divine mother so much, you will hurt her women and children. You will eat babies and all this sort of stuff just so you don't have to take the sacrament coming from the woman. You're so highly, I mean, that's, y'all, that's jealousy on another level. They're doing all of this to avoid the original spiritual essence of the planet that's divine feminine. They're doing everything in opposition of it because that would mean they would have to that the reality that he created, he have to let that go. He created that. I just told you about that demiurge, okay? Gonna tell her, how dare you create by yourself? Come on now. Go back and listen to what he's saying. He's talking about his psychology. You're going to have a world without me in it. How dare you? I'm going to create, what he say, a false world. And that's exactly what they did. He's letting you know. But they got you thinking this is something far off in the sky. And all. No, this is wrote down. Was a conscious choice to set this up as well. As above, so below. They made a conscious choice to do this. They know what they were doing. Okay? They got to feed these lower frequencies by all this violence and all this stuff they're wreaking on women and children. And every time you're sitting in one of these churches, anything that he's put himself ahead in, you're feeding that. And women, you can say, I love Jesus. Well, that's what you did. Who is Jesus? When you say I love Jesus, what you're saying is I love worshiping men. I love worshiping opposition of the divine feminine on this planet. You might as well say, I love the devil. You talk about him so much, y'all the only one invoking him. Y'all worship him. Some of these people been in church all along, and they coming to tell you that their parents been worshiping the devil all along, the devil that they created. What is the devil? The devil is the opposition of light, of the divine feminine, of universal cosmic law. That's what you lined up with. That's why the church raggedy now. And what they want in that church, your money. It's a business, it's money. Again, this false resource, this false illusion and reality got you participating in it, giving your money, your energy, all that in there. That's what that is. Okay, they made all that stuff up. And you're saying if there was one, you are in the antichrist religion. It's antichrist. It's against cosmic law, against life itself. They don't value life up in there. That's why they focus on the death. That's why you focus on the death. Okay? That's why you got them. You got them in that Bible right off the bat. They telling you that Abraham God wanted him to unalive his child. They let you know how man mind think. He want to unalive his child. What are they doing? Unaliving children and stuff. That's what you seeing over there in Israel now. That's what they based on. What they Bible say? I know the ones that say they are Jews and truly they are the synagogue of Satan. They just let you know they practice Baal worship of Moloch, who they bound down to. This is nothing new. This is how this was set up. It was just hiding. What did the Catholic Church do? The Catholic Church abused all them children in there. They talking about the Epstein, honey. Before the Epstein, don't forget how them Catholics did all them cheering up in there and got away with it. Did the same thing that Trump was doing. Didn't want to talk about the children. And ain't nobody talking about them no more. But honey, go listen to some of them stories them children talked about going that stuff they went that happened with them Catholic priests. It's almost identical to the Epstein file, some of them. Okay? This how they set that up. This is nothing new. They just they're wearing a costume to make it look good, to make themselves look like they're light. Ain't that's what they do? They pretend they're actually wolves in sheep clothing. They're actually wolves in sheep clothing. And they have to run these campaigns of a man being a hero and all that stuff to make them look good, to make them, make you want to gravitate towards them. They have to pump so much money into Hollywood to make them look good. They use the movie centers in that way too, trying to make it seem like it was just about capitalism, but it was subconscious programming to go back to church too. Yeah, a little bit. I think they try to do that with deliverance too. When Daniel, I get that man, Daniel Lee Daniels. I think that really about deliverance. I think that more about deliverance than I do sinners. I feel like that with deliverance too. And the whole time, you know, it trips me out that they spend their time trying to get rid of the devil, get away from the devil, but yet when they make more movies based on the devil and getting possessed than they do about angels and God saving people. Ain't that something? So who y'all serving up in there? Y'all give a lot of power to Satan, to the devil. You give more power to him than you do this Jesus. And it don't surprise me every time some of these people try to get the devil out of folks with Jesus' name, the thing get worse in the folks. Okay? So who you really serving up in there? Y'all know you don't want to believe that because you won't sit down. You want somebody to talk to you. Some of us, we don't want to read anything. We love being programmed. We love being entertained. We won't open a book and read for ourselves. And then you won't go beyond that Bible. There's a lot of fiction of stuff in that Bible. That's why they don't teach that in school. They don't teach that Bible in school. It's literal like that. There's a difference between fact and fiction. Or is there some universal truth in it? Yeah, to a certain degree, but you better go in there with an objective, discerning mind. And you better be interpreting this stuff for yourself and not let nobody tell you what it means. Okay? I didn't see Deliverance yet. Don't have Netflix. I'm telling you, Deliverance. And then they said, and see, this how I tell you, y'all was up there conjuring the devil because they said when they was making, Lee Daniels said when they was making Deliverance, honey, all kinds of stuff was stuff happening on that show. The pet died, his sister got cancer, and all this kind of crazy stuff was happening on that show. Monique talked a little bit about it, but this is what happened. Same thing when they did Exorcist. Same thing happened because y'all are serving the devil. This is why y'all give it so much power when you like being like scaring people and stuff. That's why y'all live in that fear like that because you're low key on that frequency and you are worshiping that energy in that church. Y'all use scare tactics and all that stuff. And when you bring that type of energy in there, if your God was so powerful And your God was so loving. Why you got to scare people into your stuff? Why you got to always bring up the devil? That's who you serve. You ain't telling these people God gonna get them. God gonna take care of it. Well, you know the devil gonna get you if you don't. You know you're gonna go to hell. You giving the devil, whatever that is, more power than you giving God, but you say you serve God. Now you know your God can do the impossibility. Why you keep spreading fear like that? Why you ain't spreading faith? You sitting up in that church and you think you are serving God and you are not. You need to look at the people at that in that church. Y'all be having all types of spirits on y'all. All sorts of wounds in there, backbiting. You mob people up in there. You look down at people up in there. Some of you judge and ridicule up in there. Those spirits up in them churches like that. That's the main place some spirits are sitting at is up in some of them churches. And y'all embody them. You love to embody them. And the ones that got the biggest nasty spirits in them is the ones that be on TV. Most of them got the ragged spirits in them. I'm telling you now, that's what's going on there. You see where it come from, you will start removing some of those false beliefs out of your mind. You will start establishing your own personal relationship with the Great Spirit, and stop letting some man tell you something because he don't know. You'll really seek a real personal relationship and stop following people and really listen to the Great Spirit and have a relationship with God, because you don't. Some of y'all don't. Across different countries, women are experimenting with cooperative housing, land trusts, intentional communities, shared home stands, and economic collectives. Some are driven by safety concerns, some by burnout from corporate capitalism, some by spiritual calling, some by desire to raise children in healthier environments. The motivations vary, but the pattern is similar: reduced dependence on systems perceived as extractive and increased reliance on each other. Historically, this kind of shift often happens during periods of social strain, when centralized structures feel unstable or unjust. Smaller kin based or value based communities become attractive again. They offer immediacy, accountability, belonging. Many patriarchal systems did not become dominant because they were inherently superior. They became dominant because they were organized, codified, and institutionalized. You got to get that in your mind now. We have to get that in our mind. Stop thinking if you're gonna have to change something, women, we have to get up off our ass and do it. That's just that simple. If you're a single parent, then you understand what I'm talking about. If you want something done, you got to do it yourself, because he can't do it. Stop waiting for him to treat you fair, because he ain't got that in him. He's jealous of you. He knows if he gives you any headway, you're going to do it better than him. And then when they see you do it better than him, who's going to want him in charge anymore? Okay, he already seen how you run a household. He already know you're a good caretaker. They already know that. I don't think they don't know. They're scared when you get back in charge, and the great mother's going to be in charge. And again, his privilege goes away. He doesn't want that kind of wisdom up in there. Okay, he don't want that. Many patriarchal systems did not. I just said that. They wrote rules. They secured land. First thing they did from women, they started taking your land, unaliving you, having these witch hunts. Okay. They documented inheritance. The first thing they started doing is having these boys' sons and passing this stuff on to their sons. That's the first thing they did. And they did that to a lot of dark women, because a lot of dark women had the land too. You'll see that in Louisiana. You'll see that with the Washita Nation. Her mother owned the land. This French man married her some kind of way. The Catholic Church was trying to get that land, but the land was still in her name. Okay, she was able to get that back. But by that time, these folks have made so many rules and regulations on the land, she can't even give them up off the land. Okay, this is how this happened. They enforce structure. If women are forming communities as resolutions, the organization becomes essential. It has to happen. Now, it used to be a time we all get together, they accuse us of being witches and all this other kind of stuff. Well, honey, if you are a witch, if you are doing it, now is the time together again to form your covens, form your communities, and start calling on your great mother because that's what they're scared of. And if we was to get together and start going back to our nature-based spiritual practices, we come back online and tap back into our power. They got some fake stuff right now, but once we tap back in online, go back in online in our um, again our spiritual practices, we raise the frequency and it lessens the power they have, and they don't want that. They don't want any empathy there, and that's what's going to happen. And they don't want that. That's why they had to hurry up and well, who you think they brainwashed with their religion first? Women. They thoroughly convinced. They got women around here wearing stuff on their head, got all these hot clothes on. I ain't trying to knock your religion or your culture, but who told you to wear that? Because they don't want, because their beauty, they told your beauty is evil. They can't control they bodily functions and all that stuff. So now you got to cover up your head, your body, and all this stuff because he can't control himself. It's your fault because he can't control himself. Okay. If something happened to you, the first thing they're gonna ask you what they have on, what you say, gonna make it seem like it's the victim's fault. Can't nobody make them do. If you're gonna do something to somebody, you're doing it out of your own will. Nobody making you. What I have on and what I say can make you, you know, use your penis as a weapon on me. hmm That's how they stole the plantations, enslaved families on their own property, and brought more. It kept getting lighter and wider. Okay. Okay. So this is what they did. That's why if you go back and look at what is that movie, Hidden Colors, I think that's what really sparked me to write my book. They kept talking about these men having these Moorish children. And then the professor Chancellor Williams was talking about how these women were being kidnapped. And that's when I put it together. They were forcing these women to have their children so they can have access to their property and lands and set up royalty through them because they and that way they're making a patriarch line. But the royalty doesn't work if he doesn't have an heir by that woman. Oh, they were very, very smooth when they did it. Okay. And then you're looking at this Morris child and you're looking at this pale faced daddy, but you don't see no Morris mom in sight. What's going on here? Where's the mom? Okay. And a lot of these dark skinned women owned a lot of land. That's why you got them married and they were royal. You seen them do that in Louisiana as well. Like I said, there was a lot of royal women over there. And they were going by different names, caciques. Depending on the culture, the royalty name looks different. So you really have to search through indigenous cultures because different indigenous cultures use different names for royalty. I hope that made sense. Okay, women had the property, men, and even indigenous men. They did interview indigenous men. They was like, "How come y'all don't own land?" And the indigenous man said that land don't belong to us; it belongs to the women. Who else knows the right thing to do but a woman? She takes care of it. She plants it. She has children. She bears civilization on it. We have no right to it. She she governs the land, not us. This is understood. A lot of indigenous cultures they understood that. Okay, then you have them being corrupted. Some of them being corrupted. They did the same thing in Europe. This happened to women worldwide. It's like women woke up one day and this was happening to us. Okay? We woke up one day and this was happening to us. This happened to us worldwide. It was a shock to many of us, and they was herding us along, uh, just like you would see with slaves. What they did with the black slaves, but they did it to women first. Another good movie to watch to kind of give you an idea of this, a little bit of an idea, but I don't think it does it justice, is the show Salem. Not Salem Fort, but the old show when it talked about the Salem witches with Tituba in it. It's an old movie, came out in the early 2000s. An old show that used to come on called the Salem Witches. So you probably want to go watch that. They give you an idea of what they were doing, uh, to women. What they were doing to women. And then we also know that in different countries they committed femicide. It was customary for them to unalive female children, female infants. I think that was done in India and I think China. Not sure. But it's like two countries that did that. Okay? This customer, we're not getting rid of males. They did this to women. But yet they'll say we're man haters. Yet y'all have systemically unalive female children. You made this law to do this. God, I try not to get upset. Help me, grandmother. The insanity with that. And then turn around and say, and if we did hate you, don't we have every reason? I'm sorry. Look how many people that you've done. I can't help but think about that. I just can't forget about all these women and children and all these great mothers you have destroyed because you want to be raggedy. And you want women to forget that. It's the same thing with slavery. You want us to forget that. And then you want women to forget about what you're still doing to them right now today. Which one is worse? Look at both of them. Look at sexism. Look at racism. You look at them. They look damn near identical to me. They look damn near identical to me. I don't see a difference. They look damn near identical. You take a look at it. You sit with that for a minute. And the war is on the womb. It's on your womb. It's always been on your womb. It ain't about nothing. They can go over there and fight all they want to. Okay? But ain't gonna do no good, do you no good to keep fighting over something because you ain't gonna have no people to control. And if you ain't got no people to control here, you ain't gonna be owning much of anything. You're gonna be running much of anything. They made Jesus attracted to keep women in that psychological bondage. Uh-huh. And they put him in the role of the high priestess. Again, this great mother help me, do I supposed to be doing this? Am I being supposed to be in this world? Because I mean, it's the craziest thing, the the craziness. The craziness. It's just so crazy. And then gaslighting the hell out of women. And we sitting up here looking like we know this what the hell going on now. We know you doing this to us. Like, what you talking about? They made the devil symbolism the same shape as our womb. See? He's in opposition of the divine feminine. Okay, they're gonna always go in there and watch these brothers that call themselves spiritual. Watch them real close now. Listen to what they saying. Cause you're gonna hear some hijacking that start coming on. I'll be watching them now. Now, if you know this is divine feminine, you done wrote this in your code book. You know this is all divine feminine, and you say that you want to get enlightened, and you want to go back to your original state of being in a high frequency. Why you keep avoiding Bound down to the divine feminine if you know that's what's gonna come from. Where you know that's where it's all come from. Why you gonna avoid that? Why you gonna go over there with thought is? Why you gonna go over there and bow down to the Baphomet? Why you gonna go down to the Freemasonry and bow down to a man with your mouth open? And then there y'all go doing all these type of corrupting the tantric arts. Y'all corrupted that too. Showed you that and you messed that up. That was supposed to be something sacred and beautiful that women had to show you, but you took that and started using it to abuse women and children, and then start using it on each other in a corrupt way. See, every time we show you something, you make it ugly. That's why I say you can't share power with them. You just can't do it. It's okay, Miss Penny. Can't say everybody one swoop. It's got to spread. We are in the roots like in a garden. The network will form. I mean, it's just something. You think about that, it's the craziest thing. And yeah, we have to fight with these pygmies too because they download the patriarch. They want to be. I don't know what to say about them. I try to give them a break. They're looking at their fathers. They're looking at their sons. They're looking at their brothers. Uh, they're looking at their uncles. They're looking at their cousins. Yeah, by every means. Yeah, look at that. But while you looking at that too, you better be really looking at them. What are their relationships with their children? How are those relationships? How are those relationships with you? And just because he ain't hurting you don't mean he ain't hurting another woman. Because some of y'all like to give them passes because that's your brother and you know he raggedy. Or that's your dad or that's your uncle, whoever your son, and you know they raggedy. You ain't doing nothing but setting yourself up. Honey, you ain't doing nothing but crossing yourself up with that. That's how you doing. Okay? And some of these men are unaliving their sisters, they mamas, they daughters. They're doing this to their own loved ones. So you better think about that. His mind is sick. And he may look well to you, but you need to have some conversations with him. And I bet you find out real quick how patriarchy had warped his mind. Better have a conversation. Okay? So again, small communities are going to be essential. When women pool resources to purchase land or support women-owned enterprises, they begin to create parallel economies. Even small-scale cooperative buying clubs, skill exchanges, and childcare collectives reduce dependence on external systems. What is interesting about this movement historically is the technology allows women to organize before physically relocating. Online networks become incubators, and I've definitely got mine started. Okay, I'm doing everything I can to start having this discussion, to start creating again a community where I can start putting away some funds to start investing in land because that's really what the Patreon community is for. Is to start putting away those funds to start building something, to start putting away some money to start investing in land and start having these discussions about how we want our society to look. Because I'm so tired of talking about how raggedy they is. I'm just ready to do something different. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. Women can discuss legal models, zoning laws, uh, permaculture techniques, cooperative bylaws. Organizations can proceed migration. Cosmic Mother Ministry exists within this vision of restoration movement. Its mission is to assist women in reclaiming divine sovereignty and sacerdotal authority without seeking validation from patriarchal institutions. Sacerdotal power means we recognize ourselves as spiritual leaders. We consecrate our own spaces. We officiate our own rites. We determine our own sacred order. We do not wait for permission to be holy. We do not wait for permission to lead. We recognize the God is within ourselves and we honor her through action. Gonna have to do it. Now more than ever, our economic power must be redirected. Instead of spending our resources solely within systems that do not prioritize our liberation, we pull funds to acquire land. We invest in tools, seeds, education, and legal protection for our communities. Money becomes transitional energy used to build something that ultimately reduces our dependence on money itself. This is not about isolation from the world, it is about independence within it. It is about loving ourselves enough to create a higher quality of life for ourselves. It is about safety that does not depend on negotiation. It is about daughters growing up in environments where their authority is normalized and not contested. We do not have time to argue endlessly with with systems that have demonstrated their priorities. We have we have time to build. Okay. So I open this discussion to you. Where do you want to build? What climates call to us? What skills do we already possess? What knowledge do we need to learn? What who among us understands agriculture, carpentry, law, medicine, energy systems? How do we organize ourselves so that this vision becomes tangible rather than theoretical? This is not a dream. This is not a dream. This is very much possible. Can you believe they said the same thing when they was getting ready to declare war on us and it took them thousands of years? They didn't give up until they succeeded. And we need to have that same type of tenacity. It even though it took them 1,000 years, they did not give up. They went to the drawing board and redid something else and redid something else until they were successful. And I encourage you tonight to try to tap into that same tenacity because they did not give up until they owned you, until they owned us, until they took control of this planet. And they didn't give a damn how long it took. They was going to do it. And they did it collectively together. What do you think that thing with Medusa is about? The witch hunts. What do you think that was about? All this is targeted towards women. It shut all your stuff down immediately. Okay? This is not a dream, it is a decision, and decisions require commitment. Mother Earth is not an abstract symbol, she is our provider, she is our infrastructure. If we return to her with discipline, with organization, with unity, we step back into a source of power that predates the capitalism and outlives it. Let us be as organized as those who built the system we critique. Let us be as strategic as those who consolidated power. But let our strategy be rooted in healing, in land, in continuity, and in sacred sovereignty. So now more than ever, you're going to need military women and defense training in the system. Collapsing women and children are sitting ducks everywhere. We're sitting ducks everywhere because we haven't organized. But if you organize and prepare, it wouldn't have an impact on you like that. Now, what you're doing now, you're a sitting duck. We are sitting ducks, yapping chihuahuas, talking about what we don't like. But no one has got we not enough of us are coming together to organize. We're sitting ducks now because we're not organized. But if you organize and prepare, you won't be a sitting duck. You just won't. But now you are. They got a chance to declare laws against you, to manipulate your economic independence. I mean, you're sitting ducks right now when you're away from each other and not working. We're not working together. When we're not working together and organizing, yeah, we're sitting ducks. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna be a sitting duck. And that's why I came here to talk about this so we can start putting this on the brain. Yeah, we're putting out there don't have no more children by them, let's separate from them and all of that. But now that we know that they're going to make this okay to hurt women and children, we better get organized. We better get prepared for the worst because we already see how raggedy it is. So it would be irresponsible to sit there and not organize and not do anything or try. And then complain when it get done to you. Okay? You have the freedom now to try to start building and separating before things get more intense. Okay? So, and that's why I've created, again, if you're interested in our community and if you're interested in building, if you're tired of talking and you want to see change, because the revolution is going to start with us. If we're going to see the change, it's going to start with women. It ain't going to start with no man. And if things are the world going to be put back in order, it's going to be put by order by women cleaning house. Who better else to do it? Is the great mother working through us. Ain't gonna be no man do it. So just, get that out your mind. It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry that gonna happen. But that's where we are right now. And so, putting this on the brain, keeping this in mind, you know, I think it's gonna save us a lot of pain and agony. Stop thinking he's gonna change. That's just not gonna happen. They've never did that. You see the stuff they put the women through the 50s and 60s and all that stuff what your mothers went through. If you seen the stuff they went through, you wouldn't be asking, you wouldn't even think in your mind that they were going to change. Okay, they've done this systematically through. That's just what they do. That's in them. Does anyone, I know I've kept you a little while here, and this is not the usual time that I come here. I usually come here in the morning, my morning time, your evening time. So this is different for you guys. Does anyone have anything to add here? And if you're following me on TikTok, I don't know what's going on here. I think I'm being shadow banned on TikTok. I had another member say, I kind of think you're being shadow banned. I am on YouTube as well. I have a YouTube family as well. So you can catch me on YouTube too. Okay. But if you have anything to add here, please add it. If you have anything to offer or you want to again be working in a community, you're serious and committed and you want to build something, we need you in our community. We would love to have you in community. We would love to see your insights, what you have to offer. Just collaborate in building something. I think these will be to have more discussions like this than complaining about them because we can be getting a lot of things done, making some changes and shifts. So we don't have to be bothered with that anymore. Okay. All right, you guys. All right, you guys take care. You know where I'm at. And if you're interested in our community, we'll be so happy to have you. All right. Light, love, namaste. Ashe, love one.